Howdy, howdy. Welcome to Your Average Bear. I'm George, and today I got the pre-orders for the Munitorium Field Manual and the Mission Pack. I'll go over what's inside so you can make a decision about whether you need to pick this up for your hobby desk. Let's take a look. Alright, here's a pre-order. The Grand Tournament Mission Pack 2021. I really don't know what this is, but it looked important, so I bought it. Let's take a look and see what's inside. So it's two things. There's the Mission Pack and there's the Munitorium Field Manual. These are soft cover, but it has a very nice texture to it. I don't think I've seen anything quite like this. The Munitorium Field Manual, my understanding is that this is all the points changes that were recently announced by Games Workshop for 9th edition. And that's why I got this. This was kind of included in the thing. I'm not playing missions or whatever. But I guess my first impression, before I go into what's included, is that it wasn't quite what I was expecting. When I saw the image on the website, I don't know why, but I expected something like this. These are not the same. This is a hardback. It looks like basically like a standard size, like, I don't know, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. This is shorter, probably like a, I don't know, 5 by 4 or something like that. So it's quite a bit smaller than your normal, than your codex. But that's probably appropriate. I just didn't get a sense that it was a tiny little softcover book. I had the idea that I was going to get like a hardcover codex sized thing, even if it was going to be thin, kind of like the Death Watch supplement. Whatever. I'm going to take a look at these and see what's included. I'm not going to go page by page. I just kind of want to give you a sense for what's in here to give you I don't know, so you can decide whether or not it's something that you should purchase. I'll be back in a bit. All right, let's take a look at the Munitorium Field Manual to see what's different. Basically, it's just a list. So here's the table of contents. Here's the artwork. You've seen this before. It's still nice and creepy. But it basically is just a list of all the different factions and sub-factions that you could play in Warhammer 40k 9th edition. And you turn the page, and it goes, bam, right into the actual tables. So every faction has something like this. So here, for example, you've got Space Marines, and you've got all the different units and all the different points costs. And if there are customization options, so here, for example, the Tactical Squad has got all the different weapon types that you could potentially equip. It's got the points costs there. So really, this is just focusing on the points cost for your models. But they've organized this in an interesting way, and I kind of like this, so to minimize the repetition, right? So there's a lot of units for Space Marines, but when you get to the end, there's a little, not addendum, right? It's just a sub-faction of Space Marines, and they publish the points costs that are specific to them, but only those things that are different. So the Ultramarines don't duplicate everything that's in the Space Marine Codex. It's just stuff that's specific to Ultramarines. And same thing for these other kind of major factions. So here, for example, for Iron Hands, you'll notice it's just two. They get 2 units. Everything else is the same as would be in the Space Marines Codex, at least for points-wise. Like maybe you can't take everything that's in there. Maybe there's some restrictions or whatever. But anything different from the Space Marines Codex is listed here. So that's a neat thing. So yeah, you've got, it's basically what it is. It's just everything in here. You've got Tyranids, you've got Tau, you've got Orcs, Astra Militarum. One thing I look for specifically to see if they've included are the Lords of War, and the only the Lords of War that are included are the Imperial Knights. Let's see if we can find that. Yeah. So, there you go. Imperial arts are included. There's even the Inquisition here. But what they don't include are the Forge World units. Maybe that's in a different place, but I was kind of hoping if they took the effort to make and sell us all right, guys, we're done messing around. Here's the actual points values from now on. They would have included that stuff. They did not. So you won't see the Baneblade. You won't see any of those like fancy Forge World tanks for Space Marines or anything like that. This is just kind of standard Warhammer 40k. That's fine, but I would have liked to have seen those points in here, not because I'm interested in going out and getting some Forge World models. I don't have a couple $1,000s to burn, not right now. You could send me some money, though. No, don't do that. I guess what I'm saying is the value proposition for a product like this is that it combines all the points values from across all the different changes, right? So you have all the codexes, you have all of the FAQs that they've released. I think it's been 2 so far. So every time they release an FAQ, your codex is not useless, but the value of that book is reduced. Because now, in order to develop your army to play, you have to look in 2 different places, right? And so then the second FAQ, so now you have to look at 3 different places. And now this guy, the idea is that, all right, those other places, you don't have to look at those things anymore. All you have to look at is here. Until the next FAQ. And the next codex. I'd like to believe that the next codex that's released is aligned with this. I don't buy it. Maybe the first couple are going to be, but there's going to be some shift. And the next time they add a change, the value proposition for this guy is going to be diluted. Should you buy this? I mean, maybe. Yeah, real helpful, right? You should buy this. I don't think you need this, right? There's a couple of different ways of getting the points values. If all you're interested in fielding is your army, then you can probably get those points values from the FAQs or some of the other sources, right? If you have the Warhammer app, if you're paying the $2 a month to get that like I am, I've only opened it maybe 3 or 4 times in the past few months that I've had it. It's fine. It's there when I need it. It's only $2 a month, whatevs. But if you have that, you probably don't need this. In fact, that's really, honestly, my go-to place for points values. Since I'm already paying for it, I might as well just look there, right? Because I'm not going to look in 7 different places to get the points values for my models. It's all going to be in there. And if you do something like Battle Scribe, I don't know what the situation is there with that, like in terms of the intellectual property rights or how frequently it's maintained. People seem to talk about it like it's a great thing. So more power to you if you're using that. Fantastic. I'm not a lawyer. Don't at me about that. But if you're subscribed to that, you don't need this. So there's a couple of different ways to get it. You probably don't need this. It is nice, though. It's really pretty, and it feels, man, I'm going to tell you, I'm kind of a tactile person, but the cover on this feels really nice. So, is it worth the money for what you're getting? Honestly, it depends on how much money you got. If you have to decide between a model and this, then maybe get the model. If you have to decide between this and, lunch today, absolutely forget about this. But if you've got the money and you just want another, Games Workshop thing lying around your hobby space, knock yourself up. It's not too expensive. So, that's my 2 cents on the Munitorium Field Manual. And now to take a look at what's in the Mission Pack, Grand Tournament 2021. This is a lot like your core rulebook. It's got three major elements to it. The table of contents, there's more detail, but basically there's three major things that are included in this book. First off, it's a very small section on kind of defining what battle ready is. Basically, it reminds you that if you have your models fully painted and based, then they're battle ready, and you can get, I think it's like 10 victory points for at the end of your battle with your buddies or whoever you happen to be playing with. And so it doesn't really specify. It just says the models have to be detailed. The models have to be painted, and the base is either detailed or textured. So it doesn't have to be very elaborate as long as you have texture paint on them or painted with some details on them. But what does a detailed base mean versus just a textured base? It doesn't really go into that, but that's fine. It's kind of one of those play it by ears, unless you're at a tournament, in which case you already know this way better than I do. Then yeah, it's not that big a deal. But it's just a reminder to paint your dudes and put them on decent bases. The other part of it is basically just it's a rundown of the game. So how do you start your game? Points, values, command points, etc., etc., and it goes from there into the actual missions. Now, these are a supplement, I guess. So these are either modifications or changes to the missions that are included in your core rulebook. It does say that you can choose from these missions. These missions and secondary objectives, and the stuff that's in your codex or codex supplements. So this isn't everything you could do. This is simply what's in your core rulebook. So they've updated what's in the core rulebook. If you have other secondaries that you can choose based on your codex or supplement, you're free to use those. So there's quite a few of them in here. I'm not going to analyze them to see how these have changed or if they've changed from the core rulebook. I am not much of a player. I haven't played a game yet since I started back in Warhammer. So I know what they mean, but I don't know the nitty-gritty since I've never actually played it. But it's a colorful description of your deployment. The other stuff that's in here, I thought this was kind of neat. Let's see, let me go to that page. Here we go. It is a reiteration of the basic rules. So this isn't everything in your core rulebook, but it is kind of the stuff that you'll need to know to play. So it's just not a reprint, but like maybe a brief description of all the rules that you'll need to know. So, if you're not if you're like me, you're kind of a rookie, this may not be a bad thing to take with you to the tabletop, especially if you don't want to carry around your big core rulebook. This has all the important stuff, like all the different phases, how to read the victory points, and how to read your data cards that are in there. So that's a neat thing to include. So you have the rules with you in a nice smaller package. That's pretty neat. And finally, they just include a kind of not a reprint, but they include a bit of a reprint on the stratagems. These are probably the same ones that are in your core rulebook. But they do not replace what's in your codex or supplement. So it's these you can pick from, or you can pick from over there, depending on, or you can pick from your codex, depending on which way you want to go. So it's just a reprint of stuff that is in here. They even include a section here on rare rules. I'm thinking that's updated. I've seen some stuff from Auspex Tactics. That YouTube channel has a really good rundown of all these changes. So I'm not going to belabor this video with that stuff. If you're interested in the nitty gritty, check out his channel, or pick this book up and do the analysis yourself. As for whether it's valuable, I mean, again, it really depends on your financial situation and how serious you are about this hobby. At this point in time, tabletop gaming isn't really my thing. There aren't any, in fact, that I can see in my area, tabletop games or events. So I'm not playing any games, and maybe I will once the world starts opening up a bit more. But for now, I'm not playing any games. So for me, this isn't really a high value item. But then again, it wasn't very expensive. So, you know, it all depends on your situation, whether or not you should get it. It is a nice summary of the basic rules. It could be a decent replacement for your core rulebook, so you don't have to lug that around, as well as, 2,000 points of orcs or whatever it is that you're playing. So there it is, just a brief review of what's included. I hope this was useful, if not entertaining. I'll see you next time. Be nice to yourselves and each other.